host, Andrea, and with me today, I have Max Matiash.
Hey.
Max, I like to start this podcast by letting everyone know something that I love about them. I love Max because he's super funny, super fun to hang out with, and he's a really great animator with a twisted, dark sense of humor, which I very much enjoy. One of the way that we first met is we were at a party. And there were a bunch of comedians and there were a bunch of regular people. And then all the comedians just hung out together because we're weird and we just want to be weird with each other. And we wound up pretty much hanging out all night. It's just a good time.
Yeah. And I recognized you from, we were at the thing at the Comedy Store. I'm like, have I seen you?
The thing at the Comedy Store?
The Sunday night thing that they did, the Show Up, Go Up.
Oh, yeah. I saw you there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, yeah, we should keep hanging out. It's fun. And then we just did. It was great.
Yeah.
My favorite thing you did is you have this animation on your page, and it's of essentially a dinosaur evolving into a chicken, and then the chicken being plucked, killed, and then turned into dinosaur chicken nuggets, which is the funniest. What is it? It's like a 1 minute animation of like the dinosaur just like turns into a dodo, turns into a chicken, like it just keeps getting.
It's the beauty
so
of evolution.
Funny.
It's the sad karmic retribution of the legacy of the Tyrannosaurus.
Oh God. I could watch that video for like it makes me laugh so hard. I love it so
thank
much.
You. And the kids humming the Jurassic Park theme, which is me humming the Jurassic Park theme.
Oh, I didn't even listen to the sound.
Oh, yeah, there's sound.
The
you gotta listen to it with sound.
Wow, I suck. Okay. I look at stuff on Instagram soundless all the time, and I'm just like, it's fine. Who needs to know what it sounds like? So what I brought you in for today, this is a podcast about love.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to talk a little bit about borderline personality disorder and how that affects your relationships.
It like super does.
It's like super a lot. It's very effective.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Okay, we're done. The podcast is over.
That's
okay,
it. And that's a wrap.
So how does borderline personality order affect you personally? Because I was reading up about it and it sounds like it's really different for individual people. That there's like a couple characteristics that are like you might have borderline, and then it's like, well, you might also just have a manic depressive type thing. So like, what are the characteristics and how do they apply to you?
Right. So there's a lot of overlap. Also, it's like very underdiagnosed in men, especially. Like something between like 75 and 85% of people diagnosed with borderline are female. And
because we're so emotional.
So like it's pretty progressive of me to be diagnosed with that. Like I think that basically makes me a feminist by default.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah. So for some reason, like a lot of the times that like men with that, they'll be like, oh, it must just be like PTSD or rampant substance abuse or narcissism or something like that, or like intermittent explosive temper or something like that.
Oh, but, he has a temper because he's a man.
Yeah. It can't be he's got emotions. No, so what it basically is and how it affects me is like I am extremely emotional. Like I feel emotions very intensely. There's
I didn't know men had emotions. Can you please
elaborate on that?
Can you please elaborate on what that's like?
I get sad.
Is it like being on your period?
Yeah, it's I'm bleeding out of my heart and it leaks out of my butthole.
Science. Okay.
No. So my emotions are like very overactive and out of sync. It's
they kind of oscillate.
Yeah, there's you cycle through like rapid mood swings a lot. And very you get very prone to feelings of like emptiness or overwhelmedness, very prone to fears of abandonment and rejection and jealousy and paranoia and neuroticism and anxiety and things like that. But also have like a keen sort of emotional intuition sometimes. Like I can always see like the cracks in someone's armor and know like exactly where to like hit them and whatever, which will happen when like it gives you like a very like black and white sort of
So you
thinking, like
weaponized emotions.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like broken, erratically weaponized. Like it's like being like a I don't know, like a wounded coyote caught in a trap in a like
Yeah, so you
bear
can
trap.
lash out at people.
Think everyone's like out to get you. They're either like for you or against you,
How
and there's
does
very
this-
little in between.
So how does this manifest to you day to day? Is it something that changes very quickly? Or is it something that like like is it like hour to hour? Are we talking month to month? Like what are your triggers? How does this manifest itself?
So it's like pretty variegated in that sense. And it'll depend on how like my overall like emotional landscape is doing. Like if I've got any sort of sense of stability, which is often tied to if I have there's also I don't have a good sense of self-validation or self-esteem. Like my validation often comes from other people, external forces, usually or most acutely from like a romantic partnership or something, but also just like admiration from like friends or family or strangers. That's really cool too. Please tell me I'm smart and funny and talented.
I wonder why you're a comedian.
No relation there. I don't see the correlation. But so if I'm like generally doing okay, my moods will change more rapidly, but less severely, like throughout the day. And then if I'm like just feeling completely lost and empty, that'll be like a longer stretch of like being in like a pit where it's like mostly very low moods, and then like just like the occasional like extreme blip in the opposite direction.
So for you, like how do you date people?
Oh. So there's like a reel him in because I'm like pretty like charming and fun
Very
up
funny.
front,
Yeah,
and
great time.
like fun to hang out with up front, and then like I'm I'm very like honest and emotionally open, like to a fault, and like for some people that's like really jarring and off-putting, but some people it's like, oh, that's like endearing and like kind of different, and like that's cool, like you're like in touch with that, and that's nice. Plus being like charming and fun and spontaneous and like very like passionate and thoughtful, like just where I can like see the like cracks in someone's armor, I can also like see like what will make them feel good or whatever.
So you can kind of like you uplift other people, and that gives you a sense of value because you feel valuable to them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like uplifting
exactly.
others helps give you a sense of self-esteem.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I could feel that.
So I seem really cool at first and for a while, and then part of it is like I get very, very, very attached to people.
Just like super quickly.
I've been trying to make it less quickly.
Okay.
With mixed results.
Okay.
I try to like hold out longer or tell myself that I'm holding out longer. It's not really though. But yeah, I get very attached to people very quickly, and then get like very like embedded and enmeshed in them emotionally, and then feel that loss like very deeply, when they inevitably break up with me.
So, what are you doing in terms of like treatment for your mental health to have better relationships? And also to just like be better and feel better? Because you say like you're working on stuff. Do you see a therapist or do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Like, is there medication you can take or not really?
no, there is. I used to be on a mood stabilizer, but I had to stop taking that a couple of years ago because it started giving me a rash, and they thought it might be like this acute sensitivity to the medication, which can result in it's called Steven Johnson syndrome, and it basically just like boils your skin off. And they're like,
Cool.
that's not ideal.
You know, I always found my self-esteem gets a little bit worse when I don't have skin.
Yeah, yeah. Then like I don't really think that would be good for you ultimately to not have skin anymore.
Look, we're building your self-esteem by removing your outer shell.
Yeah,
And by shell, we
exactly.
mean
We're making
flesh.
We're just exposing all your vulnerabilities here. Right now, I take an antidepressant and anti-anxiety
Okay.
medication. I've taken like anxiolytics before. There's a specific type of therapy catered to borderline and similar disorders called dialectical behavioral therapy. And I was actually like just talking to my roommate about like that last night, like what the like goals of it are. Like a lot of it like mimics like the practices of like monks and such.
Is it like abstaining from things or just
Well, it's like trying to like rein in your emotions and be. It's like a lot of like mindfulness meditation practices and like loving kindness and
is it kind of like self-analysis, like sitting with your emotions instead of reacting instantaneously?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
because
That's something that
you have BPD, you're going to be very emotionally impulsive and
Right.
like act out
and
erratically
you
on like
lash out
these
at
like
other people.
paranoid emotions that may
Right.
or may not be grounded in any sort of reality. You just like you very strongly perceive being attacked or devalued, and it like resonates very strongly, and you have a tendency to act out on that. And so it's kind of like reining that in and be like, okay, sit with it, ride the wave of that, you know, like do some like deep breathing, kind of like analyze it. There are like different mindsets you're supposed to analyze, like the logical versus emotional mind
Yeah.
versus wise mind, and it's like you want to react in the wise mind. It's like all these like
Yeah.
very like silly sort of like hokey terms.
Do you have crystals or
No, but
does crystals help me with
Yeah.
like mindfulness? I mean, I think
I
those
keep them in my bra at all times.
These aren't nipples; they're just crystals.
Yeah. Is that a crystal in your pants, or are you just kind of crazy?
So I think though those are really good practices though. Like something that I found for me personally is like when I was younger, I would react much more quickly. And I think that's also
Mhm.
part of like growing older and just like having more time with your emotions. But
Yeah.
I found that sometimes I can't even process an emotion or really understand it until the next day. So I might have a reaction to something, like I might feel something, but I don't know how to verbalize what I'm feeling or how to explain why I'm upset. And so I found that like, okay, this thing happened and upset me and I don't feel great about it. But instead of like yelling at that person, which I'm not super into, what I would rather do is like wait a day, analyze how I feel, and then have a reasonable discussion with well considered arguments the next day. And I find that that works so much better because I cry less. And also, it makes the other person is much more responsive when you've taken the time to look at something from their perspective as well and try and be like, look, I know you weren't trying to hurt my feelings, but what you said really hurt my feelings. What you said made me feel devalued for this XYZ reason, as opposed to like building up resentment forever and never saying anything, or yelling at them right away or like starting an argument about something else. So like those are super helpful coping strategies generally just for interacting with other people.
Yeah, that's what I wish I had done every single step of my life instead of how I actually did it.
That's fair.
Yeah. No, that's like super reasonable. And I try to like tell myself to do that. Sometimes it's like super hard because it'll just like my emotions will just be like frying my brain and like, no, you gotta react now. And like for a while, like what I did was like I just like tried to like bury everything. And then, it would come out and like,
oh yeah, then you just lash out for nothing.
Yeah.
And that's
like
not
something
good
small like
at
happens
all.
and then just everything comes out. Like kind of like buried this little monster in a cage in my belly and then it like vomits out. That's not good.
It's not great.
Trying to do what you said and like reasonably analyze and wait on it. Haven't perfected that yet.
It's really
messed
hard.
up a bunch of times.
We've all fucked up. What is
trying.
So what's the first, how old were you when you started like had your first girlfriend?
15 or 16.
Okay. And
I was fucking terrible. I was a nightmare.
what were you like as like a raging hormonal young man?
I mean, that's pretty much it. Raging hormonal and, like horribly
like super emotional.
Emotional
Did you
and
get
jealous and
Yeah.
possessive and angry and like I'm very short and that used to get to me a lot. I actually usually date women who are taller than me. Like I like kind of like that. And
I mean, how tall are you?
I'm 5'4".
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
I'm like pretty short, but I used to be like, because people would like make fun of me and whatever, and I didn't have any self-esteem. I used to like be like super self-conscious about that. And my first girlfriend was like significantly taller than me, and I like resented that, which was shitty and stupid
really
of me.
dumb. Yeah.
That's really dumb. And then
I'm
I
sure
got
that was a huge turn on for her.
Oh yeah,
To be
sure she
resented for
loved
her
it. Yeah,
height.
yeah, because of her beautiful Amazonian genes. No, I would get like very angry, and she was like an avoidant person and would just like shut down. And like I've always had like a very like tumultuous family where there was like a lot of yelling and chaos and whatever. And she had a very like prim and proper family. Like I'm one of like 6 kids where just everyone's yelling at everyone in a very small house.
Is that helpful?
Very no.
I'm sure it's really easy to get your homework done when someone is always yelling.
Oh yeah.
That's what I've always thought. I was like, wow, the key to success is for someone to always be yelling in my house.
Uh-huh.
It's really
No,
great.
it's like really good for everything,
Yeah, no, it's just keeps your blood pressure down. Just real tranquil, real great. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it.
So I was pretty terrible then, and I don't know what was wrong with me. Like I like knew there was like something that was like this isn't right the way I feel, but I don't have
Do you think
the vocabulary for it.
Is anyone else in your family have borderline personality, or do you think they might?
So there's like a strong genetic link with things like that.
Yeah, that's what I was. Why I
My
wondered.
mom definitely has that or something like it, like more extremely than me. And she's in her 60s and never going to change or anything, and would never admit that there's anything wrong with her. But like, she definitely like is very fucked up in that sort of way. She does the like overvaluing and devaluing thing. She's very like overly critical, but then like overly like gushing and positive.
Yeah.
She can't be alone ever. She'll get like very angry about nothing and very like jealous and paranoid and possessive about nothing. Like I was like a sick kid growing up, like legitimately, but also like she way overdid it and was like super overbearing about it and would like have me stay home just so that like she wouldn't be alone.
Did you have like asthma or something? Or
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, that's That's it.
Yeah, you just look like a kid that had
I
asthma.
definitely like take one. Oh yeah, this kid definitely can't breathe.
I mean, when you said you were allergic to peanuts, I'm like, it's probably just asthma. That's probably
I mean, it's both.
yeah.
Allergies and asthma, they go hand in hand. If you're like a weenie in one sense, you're probably a weenie in at least like two other senses.
Were you born cesarean section?
No, I was born with the cord wrapped around my neck though, which I think is like a really good metaphor for me and my mom's relationship. That I was born strangled by her umbilical cord. Also, like it's like also that's emblematic of like me as a person because I was like, this is as good as it gets. It's all downhill from here. We're trying to get out before it starts.
So things are going well.
Yes.
Cool. That's great.
But to get back to the question, yes, I think my mom definitely has borderline or bipolar. Also, my one older sister had that or something similar.
Are you the youngest?
But she got
or
over
you-
it. No, I'm a third of 6.
Oh, you're like right in the middle.
Yeah. Of course.
Damn.
Okay.
Needs attention. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like you've been in love before?
Yeah. Like I've been in love, I would say 4 times.
Does your concept of love change with each experience or not
Yes.
really? Okay.
I mean, the first one was like very juvenile, and I just like thought I was in love with this girl like right away because here's a girl that likes me. And then we like kind of like grew like attached and enmeshed and whatever, and I think that's also like a kind of love. And then like that ended after some years.
Are most of your relationships longer than a year?
Yeah. I'd say like it takes about like 2 years for someone to realize that they don't like me or that they can't put up with me anymore. So it's usually that's like the terminal lifespan for most of my relationships is a year and a half to 2 years. And they're like, all right, no, that's too much. Which sucks because it's like, oh, I'm like very attached at that point. You can't just where are you going?
I mean, do you feel like you put all of your self-worth into the other person? So you have this kind of like unhealthy codependency thing going on.
I mean, ouch, but yes.
It's something I'm working on too. It's okay.
Yeah. No, I definitely do a lot of that. And then like feel completely lost when they're gone. Which has happened like just recently. Like I'm going through that now, and it really
How long ago did you
sucks.
break up with that person?
So it was a long distance like on off thing for 2 years. And she's been my favorite one so far. I still think she's the fucking coolest person. Shout out to you know who you are.
Okay, I was gonna say don't.
I'm not gonna. No, I'm not. I'm not going to name
Oh,
her.
man.
Don't worry. But so the last time we saw each other was in March, and stuff got like kind of hairy. But we were like, oh, we're still gonna like work it out and whatever. And then
Long distance is always real fun.
yeah, that's most of mine have ended in long distance.
It's just never, I just don't think it ever really works.
Don't tell me that. I'm a hopeless romantic. I'm still.
Okay, I have theories, but I feel like the problem with distance is that you can have an emotional relationship with someone, which is cool. Like you can just be friends. That's fine. You can have, you can be emotionally attached to that person, but
then
like
you can see each other and
do it.
Yeah.
You get to do it sometimes, once a year. Like what?
No, more often than that. We'd see each other like every month or two for like a week or two at a time.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's not bad.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And like because I'm like a very difficult person, and she's got her shit too.
It's
like,
kind of better.
I think it was like good that like okay, we've got like this time apart too. it's just the last time I was there, like I was going through a lot of shit, and then like some stuff set me off, and I didn't react well to stuff, and I like super went overboard trying to like make up for it. And then I
Did
don't
you just
know.
like yell a lot?
No, so I used to yell, but that was like something that I decided like I wasn't gonna do anymore.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, but so
some people
instead,
don't feel like they can. That's a choice they can make. They feel like they can't control it. The
no,
yelling?
I decided after like previous relationships where I would like get explosively angry and yell that like, no, that's like very bad to do to someone, and I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do that. But instead, I was like passive aggressive and sour and like grumpy and snarky, which is also shitty. Like that's
It's
also a
shitty. It's
shitty
not great.
reaction.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's not super fun to hang out with that person.
No. And like I was doing that because of stuff that was like in my head, like I was like all paranoid about. I mean, like some of it was like had some truth in it, but I, didn't react how I should have. And I recognize.
Were you jealous of someone?
Yeah, I mean, because we did like an off on like open whatever thing, which like wasn't my choice. And so like anytime I got like inklings of like, like other people and like, like she hadn't seen me in a bit, so she like didn't want to like I'm always very comfortable like just jumping right back into where we left off and whatever, and she didn't want to do that, and I was like going through stuff where like
Yeah.
I needed like some sort of like comfort and anchor in my life to like what am I trying to say, like center myself.
But you're using
And-
her as your center.
Which
instead
wasn't
of yourself as your
which
center.
was unfair of me.
Yeah.
And like I know that's
That's like the whole thing that you're trying to not do.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
I was and I
No, I know.
recognize
I do it too. I totally.
that like you can't put that onus on someone else.
Yeah.
And that sucks that I was doing that. And then like I was, like having like this stupid like black and white thinking and thinking like things were not as they were. And so I was like kind of shitty. And it was like shitty for a little while there. But then I felt like it like got cool again. Like, and I was like doing all I could to make up for it and show that I do really care and whatever. But I don't know, I guess too little too late. And then that dissolved, and then like a month later, like at the end of April, she was like, yeah, I don't see this working again. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna like just like not talk to her for a month, let her like have that time. And then I started like hitting her up, and then I started like freaking out when she like wouldn't answer me sometimes, which is also shitty. But I always did it when I was like drinking. I like went home for like I have I drink a lot.
Max is not great.
No, I mean, well, that's another like hallmark of BPD is like substance abuse, because you don't know how to like cope with emotions. So it's like, okay, let me just try to like quiet them, and it works for a little while. It works for like a couple drinks, and then it does the complete opposite and just makes it all so much
It's like
worse.
a loudspeaker for all your feelings.
Yeah.
Cool.
So like I'm cool if I could just like have like a couple beers, but I can't drink liquor because I'll have like 20 whiskeys, and that is like 18 too many.
See, I hate drinking so much. Every time I drink, I just don't feel good the next day, even if I don't really drink that much, because because I already tend towards depressive. So like having alcohol in my body, and then like my body doesn't feel good, and then I'm just cranky. Then like I kind of want to just not drink anymore. But I've been trying to go out on dates with people, and I was like, let's grab a drink. And I'm like, what if we just don't drink?
That's like,
I hate it.
but like, what else are you gonna do?
We could just walk around, like literally anything. We could do anything that doesn't involve drinking. I don't understand why this has to be so much a part of our culture.
It super is. No, like I try to like not drink, but then yeah, it's like you go out and like that's what people are doing.
What if instead we got up early and went to the Humane Society and walked dogs? That would be cute, right?
I don't like the getting up early part though.
What if we got up in the afternoon?
All right, now you're speaking my language.
Why do we have to be awake so early? I'm an early riser, 6 a.m. Hey,
Yeah.
welcome to 6 today. It is Saturday. I'm a monstrous human being and I torture everyone I've ever loved. So my last boyfriend, something that I did that annoyed him a lot is when we first started dating, I would wake up at 6 and then I would just like look at him and be like, it's beautiful outside. We should start our day. And then I would want to like fuck and start the day at 6 a.m. And he would be like, why are we doing this?
I mean, I also want to do that at 6 a.m., but then go back to bed until like 2 p.m.
Well, then that was our compromise. Like we do it, and then I'd like get up and I'd go grocery shopping. So I'd leave the house, so I'd be gone for like an hour, and then I would like, make breakfast, and then I would like go to my studio and paint. And then when he got up at noon, we could hang out, and I would have already had half my day full.
That sounds fucking perfect.
It was really great. It was pretty great. That's the only time I've ever lived with anyone. But it takes time.
His loss there.
To reach that compromise, you know? Sometimes you gotta get out of people's way. Okay, but back to the borderline personality dating.
Yeah.
So you broke up with this person.
Oh, no, she broke up with me. I've never broken up with someone.
This person broke up with you.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do now to like, because you said you're trying to kind of like center yourself and like be your own emotional anchor.
Yeah, I'm doing therapy. I'm doing the all the bullshit mindfulness things that they
every day. Like, my name's Max, and I'm great at this.
No, I can't. That's too much for me. Like, I can't look at myself in the mirror and be like, you're not buying this. We're not doing this.
Are we doing this? What's happening right now? I don't know why I have this accent.
I know. I default on that kind of accent when I'm not taking myself seriously. Also,
yeah. You don't get up and you're like, you know what? Max is great. Max is good at animating. Max has jokes. Max is a snazzy dresser. He has glasses that are cool. Like, wouldn't you just come on?
No, I wake up in a cold sweat from memories of better times and be like, all right, I'm going to attempt to meditate for a little while. And then I'm going to go for a run. And then I'm going to tell myself not to think about stuff. And then I'm going to try to be productive or like write or draw or something. And mixed results.
Mixed results. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm still very, hung up on this person and very, like, recently she just, like, won't talk to me at all. Because I was having a panic attack drunk in an airport and called her late at night. And then, like, because we had, like, previously had, like, a really cool conversation on the phone. And we're like, okay, yeah, maybe, like, we can, like, keep talking or whatever. And then, like, she didn't answer me for a couple days, which I, should have just been like, that's completely reasonable. That's fine.
Yeah.
She's a person, and also like she doesn't owe me that or anything, and like can talk eventually or something. But then I just had this acute freak out, like where I was just like lost and drunk in an airport after having a very bad night, after having a very bad day, and called her a bunch, which was like super selfish and unfair of me. But anxiety and disordered thinking are like a very selfish thing. Like you like can't think about anything other than you're in like fight or flight mode.
Right.
Your parasympathetic nervous system or whatever is like on fire. And so, that was like shitty of me. I don't think that's irreconcilably, I can't say that for some reason.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I don't think that's like shitty to the point of like, that's a burned bridge forever. But I don't know. Now she won't talk to me, and that really blows.
I think that it's okay to not talk to your exes if it's too much. And I think that sometimes it's good to give people space.
Yeah, that's difficult for me, but I'm trying to like something that I would always like tell her like while we were dating or whatever we were doing is that like like I'm an idiot, like it'll take me a while to get something, but I will eventually get it. And like, I didn't understand for like a little while that like, when we would be hanging out, like, I'd be there like the whole fucking time because it's like okay, I'm like flying out here for a week.
Yeah. So she didn't have
like,
space to
so
like,
she didn't
be
have
away
like
from
her
you
own
and her own
space.
thing.
And that like took me like a little while to realize that like, oh, she's someone who like needs that. But then like eventually like I got it and I was like, okay, I'm going to go like let you have your space, and I'll like go walk your dog for an hour, or I'll like go like sit in the other room on my computer with headphones and just like get out of your way.
Yeah.
And I was like, see, like I get it eventually. I'm an idiot. I take a little while.
I think that's something that's really hard for me is I am a person that needs a lot of space, and having people like now, like I live alone right now, and it's the first time I've lived alone. I've only lived alone in Los Angeles, but before I lived in Los Angeles, I had only lived alone one other time for like a year, maybe. So I just haven't really lived alone and then also not had a long-term relationship. So like living here, I'm alone a lot. I'm not really with one person all the time. I used to have just like relationship, and then that would end, and then a few months later I'd be in another relationship, and that would go for a long time.
That's
so, like,
how I would do it too.
You always have that person. And this is the first time that I'm just like, I'm alone a lot and there's no one in my space. And something that started happening is like, I'll go on dates with people, or I'll like go hang out with people, and then they'll come back to my house. And I'm kind of like, I wish you weren't in my house right now. Can you please, like, I want to draw, or I want to do something. Like, I just don't really, you're just like really in my space. And I don't like, if someone is in my space, I have to really like them. Like so much, because it just takes so much for me to like be comfortable with people in my space. And that is hard when someone wants to like, okay, we fucked and now I want to hang out all day. And I'm like,
yeah,
no.
I'm the
I like
latter
you,
person.
But I want you to have your own things to do, because I want to just like literally sometimes something that I do is I'll just like be naked and just think about stuff. And that is super productive for me. That's how I get ideas. That's how I like plan what I'm going to do about stuff. But I just like need to kind of have that mental breathing room. And being with people, kind of like having them in my space and not being able to control that prevents that. Yeah. So it's just like finding that balance is really hard.
Something that like okay, so another BPD thing is having very poor sense of boundaries. And so like I've gotten to a point where like I have to tell people like, just you gotta like be upfront and tell me to fuck off sometimes. Like that's what it is. You can tell me, I won't be offended. You just gotta tell me like, this is too much, fuck off for a while.
Hold on a second. Al, come here. Come talk to the microphone. I feel like Al has dated someone's BPD.
Yes, I have.
Because Al is in the corner here just nodding his head at everything Max is saying. Al, how long did you date someone with BPD?
It was about a month and a half.
Okay. Did they live with you?
No, she had her own place. We had sex within about 30 minutes of meeting each other. And then she jumped out of a plane the next morning.
Sounds pretty classic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was a rocket scientist.
Al really has a type, and it is crazy genius girl.
Damn.
Emphasis on the crazy. Like, if she hasn't burned a house down, Al's not attracted to her. I love Al so much. But okay, so you have a poor time with boundaries.
Yeah, so I need like, that's why like I tend to like really like tough bitchy women who like they'll
just be like, get out of my way.
Yeah, like no, I need that. Yeah, be like fucking controlling and bossy and
so you want
bitchy
kind of
and
like a dominatrix gal a little bit. Like you're just like, I want to get whipped emotionally.
Yes, and like also like know that like. You're, like if we're driving or traveling somewhere together, you're driving the car. Like
oh, you like a girl that's like, I'm in control all the time.
Yeah, kind of.
Interesting.
Like with this previous one, like before I moved to LA, like we took like a vacation together because we knew we wouldn't see each other for a while. And we're staying at an Airbnb, and it's like we got iced in the driveway. But the woman who was hosting us like was like, hey, you can use
iced?
Like it was like frozen, like we got frozen into the driveway. The driveway was all like covered in ice.
Ice tried to deport you? Okay, sorry.
Oh no. Yeah, I got deported.
I thought, hey guys, fuck ice. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
Agreed. our car got stuck in the driveway because of ice, as in the weather formation.
Got it.
So the woman hosting us was like, you can use my car. And she gives me the keys. And we're like, oh, thank you. And like we step outside of the door and start laughing. And I immediately give them to my girlfriend. And we're like, yeah, like, thanks, lady. But like, clearly she's the one driving the car. Like, take a look at us. Like she knows how to drive a car better than me. Like, I'm not the driver. I appreciate you trying to like boost my sense of masculinity or whatever, but like I'm not driving. I'm fine with that.
That's really funny.
I'm secure in that.
My thing is like I usually drive all the time and I usually drive other people, but like the way that I manifest control in relationships is I don't want to be in control, but I feel safer in control, if that makes sense.
No,
So
I get that.
usually I'm in control of everything because that's how I feel safe.
Right.
And if I let another person take control, it's because I really trust them.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be difficult to date people. Chill. Because like when you just go out with someone and they're like, I'll do this or I'll pick the thing. And you're like, oh, you're making kind of a shitty choice. You know, like I was just, it's hard to relinquish control to someone that you don't really trust or necessarily even like yet, you know?
I totally can easily. I'm like, no,
Really?
yeah, like, yeah, you want to pick the place? You want to pick the thing? You want to like, yeah, totally. I'm cool. It's like, I'm cool with that.
Do you feel like you have a sense of like what you like and like self that you exercise?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not always one to speak up about it or like, because if it's like if I can tell that like someone is excited to do something and like I am not too into that, like just the fact that they're like into it is like, okay, I can like get on board. I'll like, if I like really hate it, like I'll exert that, but like usually I'm like, that's fine. I just want to spend time together. Like it doesn't matter what or where.
Okay. I have a few more questions because we're kind of getting close here. First of all, I kind of like, wait, let me look at. Yeah. Okay. I usually like to end this podcast by asking someone when they first start to feel themselves fall in love with someone, what their fear is, and then what they're doing to overcome that fear so that they can have more fulfilling relationships. For you, what is that?
The fear is when they'll abandon me.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess just trying to, like fulfill myself, I guess, actualize myself so that that doesn't devastate me so much.
Yeah, that's healthy.
Yeah.
And
trying to figure it out. Mixed
Yeah.
results so far, but
it's really hard.
it's really tough. Yeah. Yeah, because I just like know that like, the more they see into me, they'll see like the fucking crazy parts. Like, it doesn't, I don't manifest that till like later.
Yeah, that
And it's
label
like,
of crazy is really difficult.
Yeah. No, and I'll like after like dating someone for a little while, I'll be like, hey, like I gotta tell you something before like, we go too far to make sure that you're okay with this. Like it is like a big deal. Like I am a borderline person and I'm gonna be fucking crazy sometimes.
But so's Pete Davidson.
Yeah.
And he's marrying, what's her name? Ariana Grande? Yeah, they're engaged. So
Really? I thought he was
you can make
dating
it, bro.
Larry David's daughter. No?
No, he's dating Ariana Grande. They're engaged. And he has a
Damn.
tattoo of her and shit.
Oh shit.
They've only been dating for a few months and they're engaged. That's not borderline, is it?
No, that's completely rational.
That's pretty normal.
Very normal.
Super chill. Y'all are super chill at relationships.
Yeah, definitely gonna last.
Very just like even keel.
Yeah, very even keeled. Not jumping the gun with the tattoo thing.
If Pete Davidson's listening, you're talented and wonderful, and I'm sure you know why this is funny too. So
yeah. No, like I'm very aware that I'm crazy. Also, like.
Or is this a list of famous people with? Oh, okay. Al just gave me a list of famous people that have borderline personality disorder. And they are as follows: Amy Winehouse, Britney Spears, Courtney Love, Lindsay Lohan, Princess Diana, and Angelina Jolie. So all women.
How many of those are dead?
Oh, wow. There's also Pete Doherty, but I don't know who that is. Amy Winehouse is dead.
Yeah, there's also like
Princess
a very
Diana's
high
dead.
instance of suicide and attempted suicide with this, which is really cool.
Why is that? Because you don't feel
'Cause
like anything, because your ups are so up and your downs are so down.
Yeah, then there's no sense of stability. So
Yeah, something I was reading
and
about.
like you get like, you know, like your whole world is like rocked by like, you know,
By any sort of
any
change?
sort of change, yeah, or upheaval in your life.
Well, I was reading about it because I was like trying to figure out kind of why, like what it is in your brain. And there's no real, they're just like, oh, there's structural and functional changes in the brain.
Yeah, it's the
especially in areas of
amygdala
impulse
and
control.
prefrontal cortex are malfunctioning. The amygdala are sort of like shrunken and atrophied, which makes them more overactive, and that controls emotions, and then also your prefrontal cortex and cortisol production is out of whack, so that makes your impulse control and rationality not functioning normally.
So it's almost kind of like being tired a lot or stressed all the time. Like your body's just like constantly under stress.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't sleep well at all. And
That's
I
not
think
great for you. That's
yeah, I
horrible
sleep
for you.
very erratically.
Well, because I was looking for like triggers and stuff, and they're like, well, usually people that experience abuse or abandonment or traumatic life events have it, but then it's
Yeah.
also genetic.
Well, so there's a strong genetic component, and then so you'll have like the predilection to have it if it's runs in your family or something. And then if you have any sort of traumatic life events in your formative years, plus that genetic component, there's a very good chance it'll manifest when you're in your either late teens, early 20s.
Did you have traumatic life events?
Yeah, like a punch.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'd get into it, but I feel like we're running out of time, probably.
Yeah, we have like 5 more minutes.
Oh,
Hey,
that's
you wanna
definitely
just-
not enough.
You want to just list your trauma real quick in 5 minutes? Speed round of trauma.
Oh, jeez.
Trauma speed round. We should make this a game.
Divorce and abandonment at a young age, overbearing and emotionally abusive parenting, almost dying at least a dozen times before the time I was like 12 years
Wait,
old.
what? Okay, stop here. What do you mean almost dying? What happened? Like from your allergies?
Allergies and like anaphylactic reactions and severe asthmatic illnesses and things like that. And then also just like weird freak accidents and stuff, you know.
Was your mom trying to kill you?
No. She was very trying not to, but she's, you know,
Was
she's
it-
out of whack too.
It just sounds very like Munchausen syndrome-y. It's like, I'll give him 1 peanut.
No. She would never. No, she'd be like, no, you can't go outside because there could be peanuts there.
The cartoon? Okay. Okay. So divorce, emotionally overbearing and abusive relationship with parent, multiple near-death experiences. I mean, that's pretty right? It's pretty. I don't see how that could be traumatic.
Yeah, and like, you know, financial and emotional and whatever instability
Just constant
growing up, you know,
instability,
just
yeah.
a lot of instability.
Yeah. Okay.
No sort of stable and, you know,
So just the
hectic
building
house and
block-
whatever.
the
Yeah.
Building blocks for a terrified brain.
Yeah. And it's like, no, I see where you're coming from, brain.
Yeah, I get it.
I get it.
It's pretty much everything's been
I'm
scary.
picking up what you're putting down, smelling what you're stepping in there.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. What a great note to end a podcast.
Yeah. Super fun times.
That trauma speed round.
Somebody please date me.
Okay, let's try to end more positively. Let me
Okay,
see,
okay.
Let me think about this for like 2 seconds. How can we
Okay.
end this better?
There are positives.
What are your positives?
I'm very passionate and romantic and fun and adventurous,
Like
which
a
are like
car at top speed.
okay, now you're turning it negative again.
You're the funnest roller coaster of a person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a fun roller
You're like
coaster.
a roller coaster human.
in a cool way.
There's ups, there's downs, there's screaming, your stomach might hurt.
You might
but
vomit.
You had
There's-
fun at the end, and you never know what's gonna happen.
And you're not sure if you're gonna get back in line and do it again or not.
Okay, that's a better place to end. Hey, Max, tell people how they can follow you and find your funny cartoons and stuff.
You can follow me on all social media as Max Matiash. That's MaxMatiash. That's on Instagram and Facebooks, and I got a Tumblr too. That's a different one. That's Time Wasted Productions. Tumblr. I got an art portfolio at behance.net. Max Matiash. I don't know, all the social medias. If you just look up my name, Max Matiash, I'll be there. I think I'm the only Max Matiash.
Fantastic. Hey guys,
Yeah.
if you like this podcast, you can follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group. You can also follow us on Instagram at Andrea Loves Everybody or Twitter at Andrea Loves Pod. I suck at Twitter, but I'm trying. If you like my face and my voice and you want to hear me do stand-up or see what I'm up to, you can follow me at Sundress Comic on all the social media. And if you have a comment, query, thought, suggestion, anything, email me at AndreaLovesEverybody@gmail.com. And you guys should really, if you like this program, rate and subscribe on iTunes. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So after we reach 50 comments, I'm going to do a drawing, and one person will receive a custom illustration, just like I do for the guests each week, of their face and me loving them. So go ahead and enter that. Just give us a rating and leave a review, and that's how you